This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fan. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd. To hear me out, Rich Latta. Rich, it's a slow week. Man,
it is.
What we gonna do?
It is. We gonna do us. On the words of the great Rocco, once said, he's gonna do him. We gonna have to do us this week. Yeah, man. It's either that or we can just start pulling out guns while we're live on the broadcast. James, is this something we could do to provide quality entertainment? I hear that's what they're doing out here now.
I mean, I don't know if that's what they're doing out there. I know there's one person that's doing it like that. So, John Morant apparently can't be on live without having a gun on hand, and for him to show people that he has a gun in his possession. Like, I was thinking of T.I., Big Shit stopping, or Big Shit popping. He's like, I'm something like a stalker. I'll be here where the strap be. Yep. I am trying to find the right chord to hit for this, because I don't want to go over the top and say, dummy, you shouldn't have guns, because I do believe that it's well within his right to have guns. However, I also believe that if he wants to get this fucking money, there's a sacrifice you have to make to get this money. And if that's not what you want to do, then so be it. But don't cry about why you can't, or don't be surprised when the money says we don't want you anymore. So
I think he's playing under an entirely different set of rules than average citizen with their gun, politician with their gun, person that owns a gun to go hunt, person that doesn't like the thing. The gun is not the problem almost. It's the rule violation, the lack of understanding, the habitual line stepping.
Right. The context that goes with the other stuff he's been involved in that didn't get much light aside from these guns.
Right. The NBA has set essentially they gave him the get out of jail free card with all this before. Yeah. Essentially.
Was it 10 days of therapy?
Damn near. Like that. Everybody turned their head, dumped it all on Dylan Brooks. He had to hold everything that came in the outset of this season in the playoffs, essentially, admittedly through his bad performance. But, there was a lot of airbrushing going on. John Morant, everybody was going to turn their head the other way, not bringing up those smaller incidents, as you mentioned, let alone the last time he was out here with the guns. Then there's this time he's out there with the guns, and it's just I'm sure he's okay financially. He's made some money already. Right. I'm not necessarily, worried about his 200 something million that's coming to him. I'm worried about why can't you listen? Why don't you understand the culture of just IG Live and just showing off? It's what do you gain from this? What was the upside here? That's what I need to be explained.
Okay. So for me, in my mind, I'm trying to think of like, am I being too concerned about this? Am I just getting too old when it comes to some of this, as far as the city that he plays in is known for having people getting drills, right? So for me, my concern is he's playing like he's about that stick talk. And if you act like you about it, someone is going to see. And that's my concern. Because ultimately, we know him and care about him because he's a fantastic basketball player. And when you could set your friends and family up financially through this gift you have, there's certain things you just can't fucking do. And I understand respectability politics and the thought of a young black man with a gun scaring a certain sector of the population in ways that I think are unfair and uncalled for. And it also makes me want to be like, I need to lay off of him and the guns. And that's why I haven't got on him about this. But I'm also caught in a part of my concern of this shit ain't for play, bro. Like, we see people, well-off people, getting, go to a restaurant and get fucking murdered. We've seen people with their own businesses get shot up in their own businesses. Why? Because they were famous and they were in the city. Or in a city. And the talk that people have had around Ja Morant's friends or who is influencing him and whether or not they're bad influences or whatnot, for me, is secondary to this building controversy seemingly every other month with him. And I'm just like, this ain't the shit you want, Miro. This ain't the shit you want. And I'm just torn between, like, I feel like I'm turning into, a person that is saying, hey, like, these things are unfair and fuck it, you got to deal with it and change. And I'm just like, I'm at that point now when it comes to this, and I don't like how I feel or how I feel about my just gut reaction to this, and I'm just like trying to find a line in between or both sides of that, or something in between those two opposing like ideas, and that's just ultimately the main thing is like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to be one of the, handful of guys with a Nike signature Nike shoe? Do you want to be somebody that like the league can push as an exciting young face of the league? It's all up to him, and him doing this stuff clearly indicates that maybe he does, but his behavior is saying no, and maybe you got to move on from that. And there'll be somebody, behind him to take all that. But I'm just like, hey man, you have opportunity to, in a small market, be like how, people felt about Durant and Westbrook or feel about Giannis. You have that chance. And this shit ain't cool, bro. Like, I just feel like this shit ain't cool. Like, I understand, like, you want to be on IG Live and that stuff. And I'm like, cool, bro. Just don't pull out a fucking gun. What is so hard about not pulling out a fucking gun? I'm not even saying don't have a gun. Don't, when you are broadcasting, don't show the gun. Why is it so fucking hard? And I just find it just like, on one end, I'm like, that's all it is. Just don't show a gun. On the other end, it's like, he flashing these guns. People gonna see about it. And I'm like, or people are allowed to see about it. And I don't want nothing to happen to do. I just don't, right? Like, this is my, I said to you, like, I feel like this is like my second chance of having like a Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook that plays the way that I would like him to play. And who knows, man? And ultimately, it's not as important as, him doing that shit, but I I'm just frustrated. I don't like how I feel about feeling how I feel when this comes to stuff. And I'm just like, man, like lessons will be learned, hopefully, eventually.
I think the worst thing for me is like, I know he's clearly perpetrating. Like this is a choice that he's making. Like this isn't some, yeah, man, there's no way out for me. Like
Right.
there's no, there was no hope from where I was from or anything like that. It's like this man is actively choosing to wear these shoes that don't fit him.
This is like the dude that like has the cousin that has like everything and like it wants to kick it like his cousins. And it's like
a wankster. Well, like 50 Cent once
said,
said.
man. I just don't get it. And that's another part of it too, when it's just like, this ain't, we've seen people in this shitty situation. Like this ain't exactly Amari Stoudemire living out of his, living out of a car, and it's just like, I've seen people try to, say maybe this, it's not his background. And that's why this shit's even more perplexing.
Where are the big homies? Like,
being ignored. There's no, I was saying this to somebody, like, there's no way that 449 other people in the league, nobody's reached out over the past 6 months and been like, what the fuck's going on? There's no way. He's ignoring them. He does not care. And it's like, okay, man, you'll learn the hard way. Yeah,
man. The Grizzlies are suspending him. I don't know from what, because obviously they were sent home in the first round.
Yeah.
They kind of suspended themselves, one might add. But, we will keep following this and seeing what the actual suspension is going to look like, whether it's going to lead to time missed during the season, additional, counseling or anything. What,
8-game suspension?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope, like you said, nothing happens to him and he decides to use his talent in a way that is beneficial and positive, rather than choosing this thing that he's doing. So, it is unfortunate, and it is just like, how long is it? Like, I feel like the stuff that people were terrified for, like, Allen Iverson about when
he's
we
fucking
were
doing
like
it.
young. He's like, Iverson was not even coming close to nothing like this. Like,
Iverson had enough sense to be like, hey, I'm not going to show up somewhere with a gun in my hand.
It's really simple. And as far as like, they are giving you all the answers to the test. They rolled out that Jalen Rose interview, this league sponsored stimulus image recovery package that they did for him. Jalen Rose wearing the wig and the extra dye in front of him, talking about basically reading off, the info, and then repeat it back to me now, please, Ja. This doesn't represent me. Like, all this stuff. This is like, he was given the answers to the test. And it's not that I don't have tolerance for people that don't know. I don't have tolerance for people that do know.
Yeah. And that's the part that's bothered me about this, is just like, you have wild out too far, too much. People have, where are people reaching out for them? They reached out and gave you this whole thing where you could do the little 10-day thing and whatever else, and get the, little 8-game suspension, and like, whether or not there should be an open investigation for whether or not he brought a gun on the plane. That's I haven't heard anything about that being brought up since after he said the gun wasn't his, which is obviously that's the way you get out of it. And it was like, okay, it's done. And then nope, gotta bring it back. It's like, bro, this is so frustrating. So frustrating. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what's on his mind. Just hope that, like, he figures it out eventually. And it's like, how old is he, 24?
He's 23, I think. This 23? is his 23 season.
Yeah, just figure it out.
Yeah, man. But moving forward, NBA playoffs are swinging into semifinal round. So we've got matchups of the Nuggets taking on the Lakers, who eliminated the Golden State Warriors. The Nuggets got the Suns out of here yesterday. Legendary choke job by the 76ers, an exercise in futility between James Harden and Joel Embiid. Jason Tatum dropping 51 on them, and the Miami Heat sent the Knicks packing. So where to begin, James?
Let's go in chronological order. So the Nuggets get rid of the Suns. Ayton is basically just he's on basically, I don't know, on another island. He is mentally checked out. Like, his mind was already in Cancun, and this is the second year in a row in the playoffs where he's already just checked out and quit on his team mentally, and it's very frustrating. And no Chris Paul, he's hurt again in the playoffs, and you got Devin Booker and you got Kevin Durant, and they basically, the answer is we got to score like 75 to 80 points to have a chance to win in every single playoff game, otherwise we lose. And they won 2 of them like that, and then they were able to win any of the other 4, and that was the end of it. Just for a year where it was like they were trying to see if they could, rebuild this thing and keep the pry the window open for one more year. It closed it right in their face again, and now, as far as I'm concerned, it's moving forward, moving past Chris Paul. Moving past, obviously moving past Ayton.
They're gonna have to find somebody to like take his number off the books, because he's still signed for like 2 more years.
Chris Paul?
Yeah,
Chris Paul's deal isn't fully guaranteed.
Oh, okay, so
I think it's $15 million if they get rid of him after a certain, over the summer.
They're gonna trade him on draft night then, and
something like
try
that,
to find some sucker, essentially, to basically just eat, his salary and probably send back some cap shit. He might get traded for to the Thunder again or something like that. They got to start, making use of those picks.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the main thing is they got to get Ayton out of there. He can't come back.
I mean, they got Monty Williams out of there already. So
no. It ain't no him. It ain't no me or him. It's both of them. They got to go. You're the head coach that built this mid-range shooting team, and it's great. And then you get into the playoffs, and a team goes small on you, which renders Ayton basically useless. And then you're stuck shooting long 20-footers as everybody else, as your opponents keep shooting 25-footers. They're losing to math. And how many times did I say this to you during the postseason? They're losing these games to math. And
game switched.
Right. They're losing these games to math, and they don't have depth because they traded it to get to Kevin Durant. And look, it's fine because this was to be able to contend or be a good team post Chris Paul, and they will be for next 2-3 years. So now it's at the point, it's all right, get Ayton out. You took Ayton in a draft that had Luka Doncic and Trae Young in it. And you get the sensitive, big man that wants to touch the ball.
Tall man.
Yeah. So, you crapped down in that sense, and now it's time to move on from that. And if you got a stable Chris Paul to or whatever else, or separate deals, you got to bring back depth. The main thing is you got to bring back depth. So, I'm interested to see what they do, over the summer. And, the team should be a team that can win 50 games about with Devin Booker and Durant in a full year of them together. And they're going to be exciting to watch. But as far as their contendership window, it slammed shut. It slammed shut the same Chris Paul got hurt again.
I thought it slammed shut last year when they got just completely fireballed in Game 7 on their home court. They got sent out on their home court again this time, not a Game 7, but just in devastating fashion. And I don't think teams normally bounce back from things like that. But the Lakers and the Warriors. This is just found money, James. I have no idea what's going on with this. The Lakers make the conference finals out of nowhere. And, you know, I'm just sitting back, seeing how far I can go now. I think they can win the title, but
You do.
I do. I'm just getting those vibes.
So if we're laying, obviously, so rank them out of the final four we got left now. What will you rank them at as far as best chance to win the title? Best odds to win the title?
I would probably still go Denver, number 1.
Yeah.
Lakers 2, Celtics 3, Heat 4.
Okay. I'm probably with you. I mean, one has to be Denver, and then you can argue about who you want to flip between the Lakers and the Celtics at second and third, and obviously with some of the matchups that the Heat would face in the finals, they're bad matchups for we've seen Bam and AD play before. That is not a good matchup at all for Bam. He kicked his ass, and then he got hurt, and he kicked his ass even worse. So yeah. It was weird watching that Warriors series.
Some reason I don't feel like we saw the best of the Warriors. I felt like there was too much tension, or there was something going on with the interpersonals of the team. There's no reason that Jordan Poole was that god awful, because I've never seen him play this bad before. Steph was very great still, but it wasn't the peak top of Steph. Clay went ice cold the last 3 games, and they had no answer pretty much. They seemed small in a way where it was like this shit normally doesn't affect them, but it was like, yeah, they just getting muscled out the way, and you know, I couldn't even really blame anything on Draymond. I thought Draymond played pretty well.
He played great in game 5, and then games 1 through 4 and 6, he was kind of just I'm here to move the ball. I'm here to connect. I'm not here to look for my shot, really. Which is that's been Draymond for the last few years now. It was even worse in the finals last year.
They never had that like Jordan Poole come in and just fucking black out like they did last year.
Yeah, the closest thing you've really kind of had was DiVincenzo, and even then they still seem to have playing Gary Payton Jr. or not Jr. Second. Got to remember, you can't call him Jr. because there is a Gary Payton Jr. He's the second. Gary Payton named both his kids Gary Payton. That's a damn wild thing. But anyway, Gary Payton the second.
Formanian right there.
Yeah. So yeah, Gary Payton the second, I thought that DiVincenzo outplayed him in his minutes and should have played more, and they never figured that out. I personally, while watching this game and watching everything, or watching the series and watching all the levers pulled as far as adjustments made and lineups, all that kind of stuff. Ultimately the final thing was, all right, y'all want to sag off Vanderbilt so hard and basically put, when he's in the weak side, in the weak side corner, you basically bring the other person guarding him, whether Steph or whoever else, basically into the opposite block. All right, put Schroeder out there. Solve their offense. Because you can't, because Schroeder can make wide open shots. And his first year, or that 1 year he had with the Lakers, it was 2021.
He was awful. And you think, and I'm thinking back, and I was thinking about that. I was like, well,
2020, he was great playing that 3-point guard thing. Him, Chris Paul, and SGA and OKC. But he got to the Lakers, and the role was all right, just be better than Rondo, be kind of like the third best player, and he took too much of that to heart, and also he was trying to get a big money deal. Now he realized there's no chance for that now. Now I just need to go out here and just basically just be a team player. And
hold
now
on.
The role there's less pressure on him. The roles have changed now. So now it's he's just a smart basketball player when he's not trying to receive a payday. So he guarded Steph better than anybody in that series, even Vanderbilt. And I thought that I felt that over the series, especially like the end of the series or game 5 and 6, especially like Steph wore down because LeBron finally went to the thing where it's like, all right, enough. It's such a hassle trying to guard this fucking guy. He has the ball. He's putting AD in all these ball screens. Fuck it. Let's make him work on defense. And then the guards, whether it was Reeves or D'Angelo or Schroeder, they had kept attacking him. And then LeBron would get him in switches and tackle him and attack him. And like, eventually Steph wore down. And I think a lot of, top lock or not playing top side on Clay over time, like wore him down too. And he never got anything easy. So like, he's doing all that running around. Everything is like, I got to do all this running to do a catch and shoot 25-footer. I'm right-handed. I'm going to my right with it. And it's like, that's tough. Never get a back cut and, easy layup here or whatever else. It was all just tough stuff for Clay. And I felt like he was pressing, and that's why he ended up missing so many shots. It's like, when your job is to do all that running around like you're Ray Allen or you're Kyle Korver or JJ Redick and all that shit, and like, you never get, someone caught slipping because they can play odd because you caught them, trying to cheat, or shooting the gap, and you can just go back door and get a little layup here. Everything is hard. Everything is hard. And I felt like that, the last 2 games, it was just like Clay and Steph, particularly, like the shots weren't going in. And, by that point in time, it was like LeBron had basically started going into the post more and more, finding and attacking, and the Lakers kept smartly attacking mismatches or the worst defender on the floor at times. And they just outplayed him. And, I think that team is the Warriors that's kind of what their team's going to look like next year too. Cause like, they have no moves. Clay's going to opt in.
Yep. Draymond's going to opt in.
They're going to be like at 150 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think trading Jordan Poole is like just the snap your fingers, no brainer answer, because like,
what was this bad year?
Right. That's exactly. As he bounces back, then it's like, huh? It's like you drafted this guy, you signed him to that deal, and then essentially he's going to be, say they trade him, right? And then someone else picks him up, and they're like, man, we got ourselves like a discount, saying, the way the salaries are going to keep exploding through most of this guy's, mid-20s or whatever. I don't think trading him is smart at all, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade him either. I trade Kuminga or Moody.
Oh, all those other guys got to go. Got to go. I think they got to turn the team over and go to some like kind of veteran answers, and they're great at developing like unsigned free agent types that can somehow crack their rotation, like a Gary Payton II. So I would probably get all those lotto tickets out of there, get something else in there, maybe Wiggins, and see, if you can put Wiggins and staple him to one of those prospects, and then like kind of retool that way as well.
Yeah. Clay's going to opt in. And, like, you got to be like, hey, Draymond, can you come back for, like, 25? We'll see. We'll see where they end up. But, next year, I think their window is closed for now. If they able to have some transaction that they pull out of their ass that changes things, and they can't.
Remember,
I think it's
they light years ahead.
I think they can't win a title.
They light years ahead. Never forget that. So
hey, they won a title. They won a title that that we never thought they were going to be able to get again. So whatever it happened. Like it was a lot of luck of that. Kevin Durant, like goodness' heart, decided to sign the trade. D'Angelo Russell ends up there. They flip that for Wiggins, and they do win another title. Like if Kevin Durant doesn't do that, then they don't win another title. They're stuck at 3, but they end up getting the 4th one. So. Lakers as far as the Nuggets matchup, I'm trying to figure out like
I feel like Jokic is about to put Anthony Davis in jail, like on defense. Like he's about to like just.
Yo, he's about to do what to who?
He's
on
about
defense?
to like not defense. He's about to like put him in the torture chamber on offense.
I mean, fine. I mean, he did that last year or 2020, and they still got their ass beaten 5. I think the Nuggets are better than then. But like they're gonna both be great in this series. Because neither one of them have what it takes to stop the other one. Like Jokic is too big for AD to be guarding him. Jokic has no chance laterally to try to do. I'm killing. So there was a KG story about like the best shit talkers when he first came to the league, right? He's talking about Barkley. He said Barkley will fight you. And he's like, yeah, Hakeem, I don't know if y'all noticed Hakeem. He'll say shit you weren't even expecting. He say he'll go out here and hit you with the dream shake. He'll tell you, hey, I'm killing him with lateral quickness. He can't do anything. I'm killing him with lateral. He's like, what do you say when niggas say he's killing with lateral quickness? Like, I had enough of that. Like, AD is finna kill that man with lateral quickness. Throughout the entire series. So they're going to have big, they're both going to have big counting stats and all that kind of stuff. I just wonder, because, they do have the Nuggets, they do have Jeff Green, they do have Aaron Gordon. I wonder like how much can they get away with like putting those two like on AD as opposed to like worrying so much about LeBron. I wonder like, they actually have the bodies to actually stand for LeBron, not just muscled around like how the Warriors just did. But like if AD is going off, you might have to deploy that attention elsewhere. And I just think personally, like I don't know who's going to win. I think it's a 7-game series between the two. The Lakers have continually impressed me, even though I thought they were going to make the playoffs. They have impressed me, and like I have underestimated them through the first 2 series. As far as how good AD is, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that like that dude can just like be just the best defensive player in the world. I forgot that. It was weird that, because so much had happened over the last 2 years with like the injuries and, like him basically having to come to the decision like, hey, I just can't shoot outside of 15 feet no more. I gotta kill that. I gotta take that out of my diet of variety of shots. And like what he has carved out in these playoffs has been like, for the people that say they don't like his game or whatever else, I would say if you have watched, obviously he has the every other day thing, but like of late, like, cause he's gotten rid of the every other game, he's been good and bad, but like when you've watched him be good in this playoffs, he looks like the best defensive player in the world, and like he's doing the things that people, have got on him about as far as like what was in his game that people didn't like. So I think that, I never sold my stock on him, but I'm interested to see what happens in the series. And like, I think that the Lakers have enough guards to kind of give Jamal Murray a problem. And I still don't trust their playmaking outside of, those two. Like if they can contain a pick and roll, can Aaron Gordon make a short roll decision? Can he make a back cut and then pass it for an open 3-point shooter? I want to see how the Lakers make the other guys make decisions and how that's going to work out for them. As far as offense, the Nuggets are going to, I think the Nuggets are going to be muddied because the Lakers are good enough to muddy up anybody. But I just wonder if the Lakers can continue, finding contributions, found money from all the other guys, all the guards.
It's a lot of found money.
Yeah,
like it just feels like.
But once it becomes so consistent, it's like they've been doing this since the All-Star break. Like this ain't no gimmick. This is what they do.
It's weird. It's like when the fuck the clock strike midnight on this? Like
you almost feel that way, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now there's even another motherfucker. The Lonnie Walker one came out of nowhere. The Austin Reeves thing is like you expect him to be able to score, right?
Hey, he's about to get paid too.
Yeah. And it's a good matchup.
Either in the jersey or in another one.
Yeah. I guess he'll have to find another white boy that's gonna get a big payday too. This will be the 3rd one in a row, I guess. You saw Caruso made all defense, right?
Yeah. I did.
Yeah.
I forgot to send that to
So yeah, man, I think it's a good series. I want to see the first game and see what like levers can be pulled and how they adjust from there. Like I want to see. I just want to see what it looks like. I think it's going 7. I don't have a winner, but I feel like it's going 7 because I think the margin's that thin, and I think that with the Tuesday tip off as opposed to like Monday, LeBron was like, yes, another day. Another day off,
bro. He's just hobbling around. It seems like, but he's just powering through. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Like this man's a machine. Like, and that foot is clearly fucked up. Clearly. I don't care what anybody says. Right. Like, I don't care what he says. I don't care none of that. Like Lord forbid we get eliminated, right? And he walks up, and they were like, yeah. I was playing on something. I'm going to actually believe him this time. Like when he pulls out, remember that one time he came with the cast or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, all right, brother. But nah, like this should be, I think, the biggest test of the playoffs for the Lakers.
Easily.
And if they get through this, I feel like they should be favored because like, the Boston Celtics. We
presumably think that the Boston Celtics are going to win that series. So it's like, who do you trust at the end of the game? LeBron James or Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart?
Look, they gonna have to prove it,
right? And look, that's why they lost the finals last year. If they are to figure these things out, this is the arc to redemption, right? The Celtics. Let's get to the East Conference. Okay, so. All right.
I have much less on this.
No, you
except
no, you don't.
I'm ready to tune them up.
Yep.
2 packs, no Shakur. 1 for Joel Embiid, and the other one for Jim Harden.
You called him Jim?
Jim Harden. He doesn't even get to share the same name as my dog James.
Oh, wow.
No. Jim Harden, come here. 9 points in a game 7. Shooketh. Joel Embiid, Mr. I want the MVP, Mr. I'm supposed to be Hakeem Olajuwon. Why can't you get out of round 2? What is your malfunction? Ben Simmons ain't here no more. It was easy to blame Ben Simmons. We were with you with Ben Simmons. You can't win with no Ben Simmons, but maybe we can't win with your ass either. Maybe we can't win with James Harden. Or actually, we know we can't win with no James Harden. I don't know why anybody's surprised by anything else, James. Like, James Harden will give you that one game in the series. Maybe even 2.
He gave him 2.
Maybe even 2. However, when it comes to game 6, game 7, I remember that time Manu Ginobili just reached across and removed his heart with his bare hands. And it was just like, what keeps happening to this guy in the last, like, it's just it turns the lemon booty. And it's like, all right, man. And it's not even like we know what you look like in a regular season. We know your ability, your talent. We know all this stuff. But when it comes to like the postseason, I guess the team see a little more often. The referees put the whistles away, and then you just make that agreement. You like, fuck, they ain't bailing me out. So I'm just throw my hands up, I can't believe, like I would be lying if I said I can't believe James Harden choked. Of course, James Harden. This is who he is. Excuse me, Jim Harden. This is who Jim Harden is.
In retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea, like, to build your Eastern Conference final winning hopes around like a core that involves James Harden and Doc Rivers. It probably wasn't. In retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea.
Forgot about Doc Rivers.
How could you? Yeah, man. Look, players first. Embiid has skated on some of these playoff games, and because of some of the stuff going on with Ben Simmons, and
Bill
James
Simmons
Harden.
was happy.
I will say that he obviously was hurt to start the series, but Game 5 when he has that fucking chase down block on Jaylen Brown, and I'm like, I've never seen a 280-pound dude do that. Even Shaq. It's, you know, like, some of that stuff is mitigating, and obviously, sometimes you feel better than others, but like, man, we've seen him sometimes be unstoppable in the playoffs. We also seen him at times where it's like, bro, how have you done this so many times and you're just completely caught off guard by a double team coming your way?
Trae Young has sent him home.
Yeah, but
Jimmy Butler has sent him home. And now Jason Tatum is sending him home.
But Jason Tatum has sent him home before too. Right? 2018 they sent him home. So I mean, I didn't think they were good enough, even with James Harden. And for them to have gotten themselves in position to steal the series, and then they blow it at the end, it's just like they only had a quarter to go, and then Tatum goes off with 16 in that fourth quarter, and Tatum was awful in the third quarter. You had you had them in the box. All you had to do was shovel dirt on them, and you could have did it. And like I didn't watch the game because I suspected that this was going to happen, that they were going to beat their ass. But when we talked yesterday, like I was off running errands or everything. It's Mother's Day yesterday. I'm doing all that kind of stuff. So when I talked to y'all and y'all told me to score, and I'm like, well, it's exactly as I thought. Like,
it was a beat 'em down.
Yeah. And then Tatum had 51. I'm gonna have to look up the highlights to see it with 51 but I heard like he kept finding Embiid and switches and he just toasted him. And it's like, yeah, man, like this is like this whole thing that we're on now. We're playing small. There's only one big word for damn on every roster, and they can play starters minutes, and then the time that they're not on the floor, you have to worry about like how you're gonna fill that time, because you can't have 2 7-foot guys that weigh 250 pounds on one team. Otherwise, it's some type of malpractice in the league. So yeah, man, like
Daryl Morey and Jim Harden, y'all need to be honest out here and stop trying to scam these teams out of their money.
Yeah, so James Harden, he may stay, he may go. If he goes back to Houston, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be about.
Right.
Because like you didn't draft them 2 dudes just for him to like show up and do whatever the fuck.
It'd be a bad influence.
I'm not even gonna say about a bad influence. Just like their windows are totally different. Like James Harden,
it's like, what are we doing here? It's
right.
Like he's not competing, or y'all not competing.
Right. They don't even know how to play organized basketball damn near down there.
James Harden, my one thing about trying to come off that oak somewhere.
Oh, go back to how he started. Six man.
Once a man, twice a child. You turn right back into what you was when you came into the league.
So, I mean, we talked about that. Now, I mentioned it and we left it alone. We got to go back to it. Doc Rivers.
Man.
Look, man, I better not see Doc Rivers coach another NBA team ever again.
God damn.
What do you mean, goddamn? Well, I'm being too harsh?
All right,
man. What? Besides the part where he's done the job for 1,000,000 years, what has shown you that he's one of the 30 people cut out best to do this job?
There are some terrible coaches running around this league. There are coaches in this league where we don't know their names. I think that he was dealt a bad hand a little bit. Obviously, the resume is...
What was the bad hand?
Jim Harden, Joel Embiid quitting on him.
All right, so okay, fair enough. Let's go back in time through all these fucking instances of times he had.
The resume is
how many hands of fucking tonk or rummy or a poker or spades do we have to have for this man to show you that these are not all bad hands?
Look, man, I'm setting up this house right now so I can knock it down.
Oh, yeah.
So when you dig into, we all saw the graphic the other day, 10 game sevens, right?
He's lost 5 straight game 7s.
When you dig into some of
No
those,
other coach lost 5.
when you dig into some of those, I think, some of them may be justified, right?
No, I'm sorry. No other coaches lost 6. Some coaches lost 5.
There was like some injury stuff.
Sure.
There was bubble stuff. There was facing Kobe Bryant in the finals. There was facing LeBron James, different things like that, where it's like, all right, man, there was like, Blake Griffin or Chris Paul being injured, stuff like that, where you lose a game.
2009.
Exactly. Like there's a couple of those when you dig into them. However,
like up 3-1 on the was it 2003?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the Magic.
Yeah. On the future conference finals, and next year going to be champions. They were up 3-1 and on the second best player on their team is Mike Miller.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there are those things to I think you got to be fair to Doc about, but the things that we got to look at for Doc is like his management of star players, his rotations coming up short frequently, his obviously they gave him a lot of power in pretty much every stop he's been in, except this one now. And then like you think about his success, that one title was a long time ago. Right.
And I'm starting to think that if there was a different coach, it wouldn't have been just one title.
Maybe you never know. But
like Rich, that team won 66 games.
They won 66 games.
They won 66 games. Had one of the greatest defenses we've ever seen. They went 7 games in the first round with the Atlanta Hawks. Were the only teams that ever won were the teams that were the home teams in that series.
They went 7 games, I think.
Against the Cavs.
Yeah, after
they played
that.
14, a 66-win team that was the 1 seed played 14 games in the first 2 rounds.
That's a lot, man. It's a lot. Like, and then, yeah, it's a lot, man. As far as Doc, I don't think you necessarily need to throw him out on the street, but this is the last stop, I think. Like, I can't see someone investing in him and thinking he's the answer from this point forward. Whatever he got to do to hold on in Philly, he better do it. I find it difficult for him to be able to sell himself to somebody else. Like, there are some coaching vacancies. Do you think Milwaukee is about to call him?
No.
Do you think Phoenix is about to call him?
No.
Coach Chris Paul again? No, not happening. And man, even older Chris Paul, that would be. Who else? I don't know who else has openings, but does Doc want to go with a young team? Probably not. So this end of the line, he better hold on.
Yeah, man. Rich, I just sent you a message, a messenger, and I want you to play it on this. Oh, can you put it on the screen or no?
It will be backwards on the screen.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay, gotcha.
It doesn't matter.
See what I got.
Yeah. You already know what it is. I sent to you. I want you to play it for. I want you to play it for the stream. So like when it comes time for Doc Rivers, in the next week or so, like I just think right now that like Sixers management is going to tell him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get out.
Just get out right now. It's the end of you and me. It's too late, and I can't wait for you to be gone. Look, man. It's not even. It's the same old shit. Like, are they ultimately good enough to have won the East any of these years with Milwaukee, with Giannis, with Tatum and Brown together? No. But a change has to be made. Either they need to move back down or they need to find another direction. And like, ultimately, there's been forks in the road. All this, people talk about the process and whether or not it was worth it and everything. And
scammers, loser mentality.
Made all the jokes. And it's like, look, man, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I would say, like, can we have someone do the process, actually make all the right decisions, or make most of the right decisions, opposed to like, hey, let's take Markelle Fultz. Let's trade down. No, I'm sorry, let's trade up to get Markelle Fultz and let the Celtics get Jason Tatum. Right? That happened. Right?
Get him.
I mean, you saw the clip recently. I mean,
Let's
it shows
draft
every single year.
Okafor.
Look, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris over me? Look, that happened.
Ben Simmons.
I mean, Ben Simmons melting down or whatever else on that team. Like, look, I can't speak to that. Like, everybody would have picked Ben Simmons first in that draft, right? I can't knock him for it. He's a valuable player. He's not a valuable player anymore. Here's a play, right? And I find it really fucking funny that Ben Simmons posted a picture of him watching the game.
Like, what's that supposed to be?
And I'm like,
look, nigga, I know you ain't talking.
Right. I was like, okay, if that's how you feel, how about you do this? How about you bring your ass to a basketball court, start working on basketball, and then go out there and show them yourself, as opposed to relying on the luck and fate of the basketball gods, as opposed to you. They got rid of you because you weren't good enough. Or look, James Harden scored 9 points in a game 7. How many points do you think Ben Simmons would have scored in a game 7? Not no damn 9. It would have been like a goddamn 5. So I find it. So I was like, the gall of this dude.
Yeah,
the gall of this dude. How many games has he played in the last 2 years?
Let's see. The Ben Simmons game log. My God, hold on. Pulling up the Basketball Reference. He played 42 games this year, averaged 6, 6, and 6.
Oh,
a real hellish stat line.
So James Harden outplayed him in a game 7.
He shot 43% from the free throw line. He had a PR of 13, which we know
average
is like
15. League average is
under
15.
the league average. In last year, he did not. The year before that, the 22 season, he did not play the entire year. Yikes. Like, are we, James, if this was the 1980s, we would be checking Ben Simmons for a cocaine addiction.
Yeah. Or some type of drugs, yeah.
Unbelievable.
He says he's going to play for the
Simmons?
Australian national team this summer. I'm like,
what makes him think he can play with them? Them boys got heart. Them boys play.
I was like, why didn't you want to play for them for the Olympics then, when it was offered to you?
Out here, bringing shame to my man Sam Brown and Joe Saba. Like, yeah, that's terrible. So yeah,
I guess we've properly buried the Sixers.
I love it. I love it every year.
So yeah, like, I mean, everyone, I always thought, or over the last couple of years, I'm like, look, they're the third team. They're not as good as the Bucks. They're not as good as Celtics. Never going to be. They're just a team that wins the third seed, and you're going to talk yourself into it, and they're going to get beat in the second round, and they're going to be sent home. And that's been the case for them all this time. And they actually had a chance to still win this time, and then they choked it away, right? So they're never going to have a better chance than what they just had. No Milwaukee.
Allen Iverson finds shame in this. Moses Malone finds shame in this. Pat Croce finds shame in this. Larry Brown finds shame in this. Dr. J. Julius Erving finds shame in this. Caldwell Jones finds shame in this. Bob, what was the Andrew Toney finds shame in this. Will Chamberlain finds shame in this. Hal Greer finds shame in this.
Billy Cunningham.
Jerry Stackhouse finds shame in this. Yes, Billy Cunningham finds shame in this. Maurice Cheeks finds shame in this. Good God. Lou Williams finds shame in this.
Oh my God. Kyle Korver finds shame in this.
Andre Iguodala finds shame in this. Awful.
Oh man. Yeah, so looking at that Heat in bro.
Charles Barkley finds shame in this.
Yeah. Bro. Looking at the Eastern Finals, right?
This shit gonna be a rock fight, bitch.
Bro, this is the third year. This is the third time in 4 years where this has been where they've played in the Eastern Finals.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I don't necessarily feel like this is a rivalry outside of like the recent like LeBron era history, like in like
look, they got just as much history now as they had then.
But I mean, as far as like these guys hate each other, I don't think they actually hate each other. I think they're just like, they play each other a lot. I think for a casual fan perspective, like the intrigue is like, oh wow, we've seen this a lot in the last 10 years or 12 years. So yeah, man. Obviously,
finds shame in this.
Sorry.
That's great. Eric Snow finds shame in this.
Oh my god, Aaron McKee finds shame in this.
George Lynch finds shame in this. Matt Geiger.
You know, Geiger lives. You know, Geiger lives like okay.
I've been to his house.
But
you were there too, right?
I didn't go.
Okay.
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go. I didn't go. I didn't go.
Amazing.
We ain't, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on quickly. Yeah, just I expect the Celtics to win. I expect there also to be moments where Bill Simmons is going to be beside himself because they blew some game, but they're going to win. But yeah, but I think there's gonna be a couple close games, and I think Jimmy will take them, and it will lead to a lot of Bill Simmons melting down.
KJ McDaniels finds shame in this, bro. You got to get off that NBA 2K My Career, bro.
Oh
It's the only time I've ever seen that nigga.
Sean Bradley. Oh my god. Holy shit.
Just keep naming 76ers throughout the show in the chat.
That's funny.
Jesus. The Celtics.
Bro, I cannot pick a team that has Cody Zeller playing minutes in the rotation, like winning a conference. I just can't.
Miami literally, like, you know how they get down. Right. Come run point guard for the night,
And also, I don't think they're expecting Hero back at all. I don't think there's a chance.
Like, either, the great career of Udonis Haslem comes to an end. There's too many jokes, man.
Yeah,
There's too many jokes out here.
There really is.
Or, we get to make fun of Kendrick, if they lose.
Do we? Do we?
I mean,
they were in the play-in, lost their first game in the play-in, got in as the 8th seed, beat the 1 seed, beat then won another series without home court, and now they're facing the defending conference champion. You couldn't have told me 3 weeks ago that they were going to make the fucking another Eastern Finals. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And then the Celtics, it's just like,
if it's close, they're gonna blow it. You feel?
Yeah, it's like, bro, like, they're still playing Al Horford, so it's still that same.
Al Horford's still good.
I know.
He's the only person that knows how to he's like the fucking Embiid whisperer. He's the only person that can guard him for damn.
Unbelievable.
My whole thing as far as like the Celtics thing is like what makes me woozy on is like, in the finals last year we found out that Jaylen Brown can't do things like dribble. Like for a team that's really good, like at the end of games and last like late possessions, the ball seems to find Marcus Smart a whole fucking lot, and that's the roll of the dice.
Like
it don't make you feel good, and the margins are thin. It just don't.
Look, I feel like if we somehow got a Lakers Celtics series, we may have to check Jason Tatum and what he's wearing underneath his jersey. That man may be trying to help LA. For Kobe, right? This man may be trying to, lift the team he was a fan of,
And that's another part was like, Jason Tatum is their best player, or actually it's like, look, Jason Tatum should be the best player. Sometimes you can't tell who the best player is, and that's not actually a compliment to Jaylen Brown. It's Jason Tatum's out here jacking up shitty shots, and the ball sticking on one side of the floor. And it's like, what kind of offense do y'all want to be? Do y'all want to decide to, run offense, or are y'all just going to get into, I'm a star, I can do this? Because when he gets himself in some of the funks, they're fucking awful. He's like, for a person that is, a first team All NBA level guy, like, he's about as streaky as you can get.
The NBA champion will come from the West. That's all I got on the Eastern Conference.
You know what? I think you've talked me into it. Me talking about how much I dislike watching Celtics close games. I think you have talked me into the West winners going to win. Period. Even if it is the Lakers.
There's no reason to trust them niggas. Like, them niggas about to look at LeBron and melt, and LeBron gets to go against the Celtics. You think he won't relish that?
I didn't even think about that.
You think he won't? LeBron and it's like,
bro. No, hold on. Before you get to that, if LeBron beats the Celtics in the fucking finals
for number 17, or excuse me, for number 18, to break the tie.
Look,
to break the tie, James.
That 23 and that 6 is to go up in that fucking Raptors right then. That same night. Same night that no confetti drops.
You're right.
Like, look,
if he wins it from here, it's not getting a statue or anything, but he's getting a jersey retired.
I think his jersey's already going to get retired because I think there's probably some shit already in the deal inherently, and also he's made like all NBA every single year for them anyway and won the title. But like the pure even the people that are still on the he ain't really a Laker. He's doing it's just a convenient thing.
He ain't.
Look, even those Grinches, them green bitches, their hearts will go 3 times the size when they beat the if they beat the Celtics. You be like, I've been holding out so long. I love you, bro. Come in to Laker land. I can see it. I can see some of you hoes doing that immediately. I can see it right now. That rivalry. This is why that's the best rivalry in the sport.
Hey, nigga better win. Look, I'll say this, James. If he gets to the finals against the Celtics and loses the one to put them ahead of us, to like put them back on top, you will see some hate unleashed that you have never seen from me. and I'd have done it all.
Right. Like what? 10 minutes ago, you talking about, that man clearly hampered with a foot. You be like, I don't give a fuck that foot. Chop his foot off, make him play better. Oh my God. I can't. Look, bro, the Lakers fans are ridiculous. And look, y'all this close.
Look,
y'all started 2-10. Y'all started 2-10. Now y'all like, hey, we can win this. If we get to the finals, we better fucking win.
We can steal it. Look, we can steal this shit.
Oh my gosh!
Look, Nikola Jokic, that is a man out there.
Yes,
so I don't take that man lightly at all. So I'm kind of, I'm happy to be on the ride at this point.
So man, like as far as Jokic had a 53-point game with like 14 rebounds and shit and like 9 assists. He had another game with like a 40-point triple double, I think. He was great in that Suns series, and basically he basically just whooped Aiden into submission. Every playoffs I've seen him in, 20, 21, 22 this year, he's been great in. He's lost series or whatever else, but he's always played great. And so many people when they talk about fucking league MVP have turned it into the playoffs also matter. So if you don't play well in the playoffs or you don't win the title, then it should be held against you for the next season and shit, which is fucking dumb, but whatever. Like, Embiid should have won the MVP this year. He ran through the tape. He won the race. Congratulations to him. But all those people, because it's the same people too. Those same exact people that talk about you gotta win if you're gonna be the MVP, blah, 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 blah. How's he gonna win a third time and shit? We ain't never seen Jokic not come through in the playoffs. We've seen him play well every single time. He just happens to have lost to a better team or a team that was healthier, right?
Or it's like some shit he ain't got no business doing. Like, yeah, nigga, you playing the Warriors in round 1. Do something with it. And
he did,
all
he
your
just lost.
look, and your like second and third best players are injured. Go get it.
Right. And he got his numbers and they still lost, right? Now, you see the Embiid thing. He didn't play up to the level you would like him to consistently. Obviously, he was hampered with injuries, whatever else, but like that flame out was really bad in that game 7. I ain't heard a peep from these people kill him and done this shit and say, you know what, I was wrong. We should do this Embiid, or we should give this shit to Jokic, because Jokic, after all, does play well in the playoffs all the goddamn time. I ain't hear a peep. Did you?
No.
Okay. Just make sure I wasn't just, imagining things. That's all.
What if y'all actually stole from that man, Nikola Jokic? Like what if y'all like decided like what if this man was like good enough, and it was like y'all just decided, no, you're not allowed. It's not allowed to be you. Like what if it was like, what if we're talking here in like a month from now, and we're like, yeah, this nigga Nikola Jokic averaged 37 points a game in the finals and won the finals MVP. How y'all gonna fill it in?
Real dumb.
What's it gonna look like? Y'all gonna want to turn your ballots back in? Y'all gonna want to put them back on the ballot that you left them off of, Mark Jackson?
You know what's gonna happen? They're gonna come into like this fall, and they'll be like, and they're gonna be on First Take, and they'll be asking everybody who's the best player in the league, and they're gonna be talking about some shit about LeBron, Steph, and Durant again. A nigga that's gonna be 39 and 2 niggas are 35, 36. They gonna still do that shit again. Watch.
Amazing. I guess we should move along though.
Yeah.
We are on the precipice of the AEW TV deal being announced this week. We had some dark rumors that I didn't necessarily want to talk about too in depth last week, because it just like hadn't been confirmed by enough people what those rumors were. However, there's a lot of smoke to this fire at this point. There's Tony Khan saying there's a big announcement coming Wednesday. There's the upfronts coming Wednesday. Wade Keller wrote a column today. Joe Lanza has confirmed these rumors. Like amongst, this is what people were talking about. It could be like $240 million a year. For over 5 years, 1.1 billion, 1.2 billion, a lot of billion being tossed around right now. Big predictions. We had a Cope segment last week, James, that a lot of people on the YouTube clips enjoyed. Shouts out to everybody in the comments, the new subscribers on the YouTube page. Definitely appreciate you guys leaving the long comments and everything too. If this comes out, we may have to like open the Cope segment again, because it's like, all right, how long did it, like AEW's been around for less than 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like WWE got their $1 billion thing for the first time in 2019, like with the whole new Fox and new.
Was it 19 or 18?
I think it was 8. It's one of them. Like
it was. Oh, sorry. It was announced in 18. It got kicked into play in 19. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were in business for that long, and we know the TV rights deals are bigger now, obviously, than they were in the 90s and the 2000s, things like that. But I'm like, maybe, I don't know. It's they were able to do those things after all these years in business, after having all this name recognition, all this essentially like, yeah, when you think of what wrestling is, oh, you mean WWE? Like that's what all the advantage, we know all the advantages WWE's operating.
Yeah.
From. For AEW to come in under 4 years or 5 years and be like, yeah, we're going to get this $1 billion also. I think it says a lot of things. I think it speaks to the strength of AEW as a promotion and how successful it has been. There is a portion of it like, yes, WWE allowed, the like kicked in the door with like this $1 billion stuff, right? But this is not, their success does not rest on WWE makes this possible for them. I don't believe that at all, because why did, like, when good things happen for WWE, we don't say it's good for wrestling. We say it's good for WWE.
Right. Because this isn't trickle down economics.
But when something's happening good with AEW. It's like, oh, it's great for wrestling. It's all this other stuff. It's like, no, man, say it with y'all chest. This is good for AEW. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the hesitance. Actually, I do understand the hesitance. It's the new spin, whatever. And I was trying to figure out what it is between the Wembley stuff and this TV deal coming up, whatever it is, right? Because I think me and you have talked about it, and it's like, yeah, man, I think they're set for a pretty big raise, like no matter what, just because of like they were able to keep it competitive in the demos, like with Raw. And it's like, all right, one of three things going to happen. Either like the most unlikely scenario is like, yeah, someone offers less to WWE for their stuff. That's the most unlikely scenario. Then it's like, all right, the other one is like, yeah, they offer a big raise to AEW somewhere and WWE stays the same. Or the third option is they both go up. And I think we're getting the third option. They both go up. And I think this is a phenomenal accomplishment with what Tony Khan and the whole, company was able to pretty much do and overachieve. And it's like that, like all the grinding through the pandemic, the empty arena shows, the injuries to the roster, the being judged like no other company has ever been judged. These are all like doing all these things for over the years, like, the loss of top stars, the gaining of stars, the backstage drama that's going on, and to come out on the other side and it's like, yep, the risk they took in the beginning, and people were like, yo, we want to do this shit a different way. This shit has led to, it's going to lead like possibly to $1 billion. So like there's going to be more money for everything. Everyone's going to get paid. And I don't know, like what do you make of all this, James?
I mean, we were saying this back, after their first deal, or when, they got the $140 million, whatever else. And I, always made the joke, like, that's the Kevin Durant contract they got, because they're basically getting $40 million a year for TV. And I was like, hey man, like, you look at this and like, they're going to get paid more the next time they get a deal, given how well they're done. And you look at what WWE's doing, like, they're going to get paid well, or paid more over this. Like, they're not going to stop at 40. And then, there's another TV show. Yeah, I just seemed inevitable. How, the $250 million a year thing, or $240 million a year, I'm not sure on that, but like, it was, to me, it was obvious that like, they were going to get paid a lot more than $40 fucking million a year.
Yeah.
And, people have, tossed at that $1 billion thing, and I don't know if that's in good faith or not, or they're just trying to, raise people's anticipation so they can be like, it's only 600 million or whatever else. We'll see. Whatever it lands, it'll be more than what they were making. And, like, basically, regardless of whatever it's announced, or whatever it is announced, like, Tony Khan officially becomes, like, the second most successful promoter in the history of this business. And that's the part that interests me, because, like, all these people that have the Bischoffs, the Conans, the Cornettes, the Disco Infernos, everybody else.
Got to line up.
They have said so much shit. And then at the end, like, once this shit comes through, it's going to be like, oh, y'all were wrong. How are they going to cope with this? What's the next spin after this? Because, WCW was a big deal. Smoky Mountain critically was a big deal. What happens when AEW like has surpassed them in everything? What like, left is there for them to complain about other than them just being old and no longer need to be listened to?
Like, damn, they ain't hiring me. Shit, like that's what it's gonna come down to. Because like, bro, we were talking with some of our like non-wrestling friends about this, right? And some of our other wrestling friends too had like broached this argument. It's like, all right, has AEW surpassed WCW at this point? And I think it's a fair question to have. I think you can be on either side of, right? If you're looking, depends on how you're looking at it. AEW is set to make money that WCW has never made. AEW is set to sell tickets like WCW has never sold tickets. However, obviously we know the TV ratings are strong for WCW.
Right.
Do you want to point to the landscape of cable television and the difference? You can, right? I don't think anything's ever driven conversation like AEW. I wasn't on the internet that early in the 90s to see the way WCW would drive conversation. I would pretty much just watch the show, went to school, talked about it with my friends. Obviously, the NWO was like the biggest thing in the sport. WCW actually was number one at a point.
That's true.
Right?
That's absolutely true. They were number one for a year and a half, basically.
AEW's like hasn't been that. But
one thing, Jason Solomon Monster, he has a segment on his weekly show where he talks about like going through the old message boards on the internet, talking about wrestling, and be like, look, this thing where you think like wrestling, like the wrestling talking sphere and online like has gotten toxic. No, it was always toxic and stupid even 25 years ago. So like your point, like, yeah, it was ridiculous back then too.
Yeah. So like, I think you like, depending on how you want to look at it, like AEW like is the biggest non-WWE company, like, and most successful there's ever been. There's a certain way to look at it through those lenses. You want to say I'm crazy? Please refute me, because I still acknowledge like what WCW was, and like I think it's however you want to look at it at this point. But however, the more this goes on, they are going to lose. Like Eric Bischoff, he's going to lose that claim to WCW being the second biggest thing outside of WWE and his whole claim to fame. Like he's holding on to that, right? And who knows how long he's got left, like the way this is going.
Yeah. But you are right about the it's good for wrestling thing. And I think a lot of that is from the people that are trying to play it neutral, because they realize that anything they tweet, positive or negative about either one of them, gets people up in arms.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, man. Like, I get the general sentiment, but it's like, if the big three gets a better TV deal or gets a competitive TV deal to the NBA, no one's out here talking about it's a great day for basketball. People will look around and be like, what the fuck? Hold on, bruh. Like, you'd be like, damn, bro. So like Doc Rivers made the move to this because he couldn't get another job in the NBA, and he's gonna make the same amount of money. That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Doc Rivers, look, do they have coaches in the Big Three?
I believe they do.
Well, Doc needs to be one of them, because that NBA shit, that 5-on-5 shit's done for. It's time for the sixes out here. Time for 6 on the court, not 10.
Yeah. We will see what the number says. So, with that, like there was these segments. There was some news that came out last week. So CM Punk, I don't have too many details on it, but there were some pitches that was going on that said that he wanted to work with Samoa Joe, and this may be either a wrestling match on the return date, or there's some type of program or something like that. CM Punk versus Samoa Joe in 2023. I think the promos would be good.
Oh yeah.
It is interesting to note that the Jericho thing was there with the meetings, and possibly, this, we heard the stories about that. And then this one, this news like came up out of nowhere. And then in the Adam Cole and Jericho's storyline, there started to be like this, like these kind of spoofing of the CM Punk and Young Buck stuff with the orders of protection and not being allowed to be in the same building as somebody. So like, I want to know, did this program get snatched off the table? And then, the Samoa Joe thing get inserted there. What happened here? I feel like there's some nastiness brewing somewhere, but CM Punk's gonna, instead of doing tribute to Bret Hart, he's gonna do tribute to himself this time, maybe. So their matches in 2004, I believe Dave gave them 5 stars.
Yeah,
Josh about them.
I don't know how many, at least one of them were.
I think it was 3. There were three of them. I think maybe all three got them. Not sure.
Something like that. It's something crazy.
I was talking to Josh. He was telling me he didn't like those matches all that much back then. But I've never seen them, so I just know that was a long time ago. And so we'll see what happens with this. What do you make of this matchup?
I mean, I think Joe's one of the greatest talkers I've ever heard. I think CM Punk has made some of the best television that has ever happened in professional wrestling. So, I think them, being able to do it with some of the stuff to call back to, or at least crib on from the prior days, whatever else is great. They can talk about how, they can talk about a bunch of different things, whatever else. Ultimately, the main interest is like what happens when you get them in a match at this stage of the game, at their ages, and what they've both lost athletically through injuries and whatnot in life. Like what kind of story can they tell in the ring? And if they can have a great match, fine. Because I think, personally, I think both of them have shown that they're capable of having great matches still. I just question whether or not they can do it with each other, right?
That's the key, because I feel like what unlocked a new version of Samoa Joe, one that it was no secret Joe was looking kind of winded towards like the end of NXT, and it just they were trying to put him on commentary for a while. The key to unlocking a newer, like a more like a version of Samoa Joe nowadays that works is young, small guys that will basically take the punishment. And he had a great match with Suzuki too, but
or somebody can brawl with.
Yeah, Punk's no Minoru Suzuki. I don't think anybody's under any misforgivings.
What I will say is, if they were to follow in the line of what he did with what CM Punk did with Eddie Kingston, I think that's what they should be aiming for. Like, CM Punk is getting physically overwhelmed by somebody bigger, stronger, and meaner than him, and he has to fight from underneath in these matches in the same way that Kingston did. If they follow along that kind of, that's the path for success that I can imagine. Like a real one. The stuff of, we're going to go hold for hold. Nah. That was never, going hold for hold was never quite really a CM Punk thing to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there are ways to actually tell a compelling story and have the crowd, into these things heavy. Because on the mic they're going to make you want to see the match, or matches. So yeah, if they do that, really, I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, I guess we'll just roll into the AEW Dynamite review. James, did you catch this week's show?
No, because I was watching, I think it was Lakers game, and then I already heard about the news. I was like, well, fuck, there's no point in watching it. So, I'm going to watch the match. I heard the match is great, but as far as watching it live, once I got spoiled on it because fucking Twitter, it happens. I'm just going to make, one of these days I'm going to make a separate account. James Boyd 82 or 87.2 or whatever else, just so I can...
2.0?
I didn't even think about that. Like, I'll come up with something just to be like, or maybe I'll just make a fake one, like, with a million numbers and letters on it, just so like I can just follow my NBA stuff and or my non-wrestling stuff, and not have the algorithm fuck me over for spoilers.
Back in the old days of Twitter, I think that might have worked, but with that For You tab now, that shit might like send that shit right towards your way.
Good point.
So this was live from Detroit, Michigan. I want to give a big shout out to my man, Black Sabre Jr., the Detroit Don, all that. Showed up with the One Nation Radio shirt on, right there in front of the hard cam, sitting there all night. Who knows? We may got one or two new listeners this week. We welcome y'all, but big shout out to him.
Yeah, thank you. So, King of Nerf says the James Boyd burner sounds wild. Does it though?
Well, what do y'all, let us know in the comments, what do y'all expect from the James Boyd burner account?
They finna say something outrageous that you gonna make you laugh because you like, that's not James at all.
Rich, can you confirm he had that shit on? Yes, I can confirm. He indeed had that shit on. So another example of someone having that shit on. So tonight on Raw, I actually had saw my boy Backup Hangman had retweeted a photo of Walter and Imperium from the show, and he was talking about Walter's godly. I noticed that Walter had that red jacket on, and the rest of the team was wearing red. I was like, interesting. Them boys wearing that red again, huh?
I didn't know that. I didn't know they brought that back.
You know what that means?
Vince back.
Oh yeah. What are they doing in black, pal? But let's get to the show. Claudio Castagnoli versus Rey Fenix. The show opens. These men are already standing in the ring, so you know what the fuck it is. The steps for this match is whoever wins gets a shot at the other's belt. This was spectacular. This is exactly what you would imagine that this match that everyone wanted to see was. Rey Fenix was
one of the best bases in the world versus one of the best flyers in the world.
Yes. It was like I think when you see Phoenix sometimes and you see like his stuff and then you're just like, yep, that's Phoenix. He's incredible. And then this was just like, yo, this isn't fair. Like this is just like, I don't know if it was just like, all right, this guy's, he's holding him in place the right way. Like, I don't know what it was, but like he exploded off the screen like a blur, and everything was so like there was so much precision in what they did, and Claudio was great, just catching him out of nowhere, slamming him around. There were great near falls in this. This ended up, Castagnoli getting the win with the Ricola bomb. I'm probably 4 1/4 on this, so definitely go out of your way to see this one.
Yeah, I heard people raving about this match.
Yep. So after that, we got a cut to the backstage, and then we saw Miro walking around, and he just stopped with Renee Paquette, and they asked him why he was here. He just started staring at her, then he walked in Tony Khan's office.
I think that's funny. It's like, that is an appropriate answer. Where the fuck you been, bro?
Yeah. But as we would see, he was not the last person to show up that we ain't seen in a while. So we ended up getting 4 different video packages. I guess we'll just cover them all now. With the 4 pillars, talking about the title match. This is probably one of the better things that they've done, and it was just like these are all like pre-tapes that they played, about probably like 60 seconds each. I think like MJF basically said he's going to have the most longevity out of all the pillars. His reign of terror has just begun, and then he mentioned how he's had the best singles dog collar match in the history of the sport. He had the best Iron Man match in the history of the sport. None of y'all other 3 are even close to me. Like what is this? So he was running them down with the truth. So it was like. So that was a lot, but after that we got a video package recapping the history, or I'll go back to the other ones later, but okay. We're recapping the history of Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, obviously a seminal feud in the promotion's history, ahead of the cage match. Good video package. After that we had
did they show the dud?
You know what, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I would have to rewatch that. I believe they might have showed. I don't think they showed obviously blowing up. I don't think they did that.
They didn't show the little sparklers.
They didn't
show the no, Okay. It's probably for the best.
So after that we got FTR coming out, and this was kind of funny, but obviously illogical at the same time. They invited out their best friend Mark Briscoe. Instead, Team Jarrett came out. Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh. Sanjay wanted to answer for the Double or Nothing challenge from last week. Dax said, we'll accept if you can admit that you're using Mark Briscoe to get him. We didn't talk about it last week, but one of the all-time greatest segments in the history of AEW Dynamite, a 5-star segment. The Team Jarrett showing up on the Briscoe farm. Go out of your way to go back and see this. If you didn't see it, just pure comedy. Satnam Singh in the overalls, saying he worked on a farm in India. Sanjay Dutt also with the overalls on. They're doing the don't go messing with the country boy. They're doing all those dances and all that stuff. Jeff Jarrett's riding around on his tractor. It's amazing, like absolutely amazing. But
what did Jay Lethal do?
I think he was just
he
there.
not allowed on the property?
You stupid. He was just there. Well, he's the one that Papa Briscoe knows and likes, because he was like, "That's your old friend," or whatever. But he was like, "Y'all, what about the rest of these guys?" He was like, "What is this shit like?" So, but after that, back to this segment. They basically said, Dutt basically denied that he was using Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe then came out, big reaction, came out with the beers for everybody. He basically said, Tony Khan gave me some good news. Mark Briscoe was going to be the special guest referee for the tag match at Double or Nothing. And then Mark passed out cups for everybody to have a toast, but Sanjay Dutt, misted tequila in Dax Harwood's eyes. And he was like blinded, kind of. And, Mark was trying to basically, settle everyone down, but Dax Harwood is blind and grabs Mark Briscoe and power drives him. And then, Lethal and Company like pretty much jumped out of the ring, and they were like, "What are you doing that to Mark for?" But like the whole thing was like, "You can't see," and it's like he attacked this man, he can't see.
So of course he doesn't watch the show, so he'll never know what actually happened.
Bingo.
Awesome.
Yeah. So match is official for Double or Nothing. Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus FTR. Let's see the greatness, boys. After that, we have Renee backstage with Chris Jericho. This was very funny. Jericho's doing great here. He said she asked him how he was doing after Adam Cole got the best of him last week, and he was like, he didn't get the best of me. Why do people say things like the best of me? He said Cole created an unsafe work environment, and he had a court order saying if Jericho's in the arena, Cole's banned. Then all of a sudden, Roderick Strong walks in, called Jericho delusional, challenged him to a Falls Count Anywhere fight next week, but he also had a document of his own saying the Jazz is banned from the arena next week. So everyone's banned. Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho next week, Falls Count Anywhere. What the legal injunctions are clearly being played for comedy. I don't know. I would rather go without it, but here we are. Excalibur then, is talking about Miro showing up earlier and going into Tony Khan's office. They threw it back to Renee, and then all of a sudden Thunder Rosa shows up in the shot, and she said, tonight's the night to get some answers. She said, I guess I better go talk to Poppy Khan next. She walks in the office, and then immediately all the jokes start flying. It's like all the carnies are back. Everybody heard that $1 billion and came running. All the problem children getting ready for Collision. All that shit. So apparently Thunder Rosa, I believe, may still need surgery. I don't know, but she was here. After that, we got the Sammy video package. He was saying, so this one was like this babyface inspirational package. So Sammy's like all over the board here. And every like person besides MJF has like an older, like legendary star kind of co-signing them or talking about them. So they bring in Christian for Jungle Boys. And he basically like runs them down. He's saying, but if he has his head on straight together, he can win this fucking title essentially. Like if he gets his head off his ass, they bring in, Sammy saying he's a pillar that shouldn't have been here. Jericho said he brought in Sammy to not be a sidekick, but to be a star, completely undoing Sammy's previous, promos and backstory. Tay Conti then mentioned, the main event is where he belongs. He's born to do this. Sammy said any kid out there who has a dream, it can come true. This was a complete babyface thing. So
make up your fucking mind.
Yep. So after that, Tony is then thrown to in a pre-tape. but it's like shot differently. So it was like, this isn't like a pre-tape. This is like some other shit. He said tonight's one of the strongest Dynamite cards they've had. Even with that, there's still so many talented wrestlers backstage, and we can definitely provide more content for you guys. So next week there's going to be a huge announcement on TNT, he said. And then he later corrected David Bixenspan. Everybody said, TNT, what? So he said something's happening on TNT. So we'll see what the announcement is, but that sounds like the Collision thing. Also sounds like the TV deal. We will see in just over 2 days.
So they bring in Miro, they bring in Thunder Rosa, and then he shows up and says, "There are a lot of people backstage. There's not much to do. We'll find places to put them." Yeah, it sounds like they're definitely going to be on the Punk show.
I think that's what you were meant to think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, we got Orange Cassidy versus Daniel Garcia in an international title match. Just when you think he's going to lose, he does it again. This was Garcia basically picking apart his hand, his back, his leg, but at the end getting caught on some flash pin shit from Orange Cassidy. And it's like, I think we're over 20 defenses at this point. But yeah, this was awesome as well. And besides that, I don't
really have more defenses in Roman yet.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
But he one thing to note was Garcia did a bank statement in this match and then later tweeted about it, put money, and Mercedes responded to it, so that was pretty funny.
Stardom fan, so makes sense.
Yeah. So we got another video package showing of Carl Sheeter returning last week. Shout out to my man Will Washington. But after that, the Outcast basically mocked how Sheeta's back in Japan this week. They issued a 6-woman tag for this week coming up, and Hayter and Jamie Hayter accept. So this week is Sheeta, Baker, Hayter against Outcast. So after that, we got Christian Cage coming out for a promo. And the stuff they're trying to do with Dom Mysterio, this is the actual real version of it, I think. They're not hitting the button for Christian, but, he's doing the thing. He takes the mic away. They boo. They don't let him talk, but he just blacked out here. This was fucking crazy. Like, this was... he insults the crowd, basically talking about Detroit and Detroit is ass, and it pretty much just kills them. He said, he calls himself the #1 contender for the TNT title. He said, why are there so many people with daddy issues in AEW? He talked about Wardlow's father, but he said he wasn't famous, so he's not going to waste too much time doing that. He said that Wardlow found a father figure in Arn Anderson, who was looking for a son himself, except that Brock Anderson already works here.
That's great.
Arn, he basically, threw his own kid to the side for Wardlow when he saw the Wardlow train taking off, and he's going to take all the credit. He said, Arn Anderson called himself a legend, but why? Essentially, he's like, you're the sidekick to Ric Flair, and Tully Blanchard did all the work. That makes you a legend. And he was frying Arn Anderson up like catfish. I would text Floyd, but Floyd's phone was broken. Get your phone right, Floyd. But
did he break it at WrestleMania?
So loud. I don't believe so.
It'd be better for story.
He should have.
WrestleMania.
He should have broke it at WrestleMania. I would have threw the phone personally. All them pictures and videotape for what? Just throw that shit. Yes, Edge was better chance.
Yikes.
Yeah, we're there. They
Cap.
It was getting a lot of boos. Yes, ultimate Cap. And then he said he's going to take the TNT title from Wardlow. This was incredible. Yeah, run it up.
Was he in the turtleneck?
Of course.
My dog.
Of course.
Okay.
We got a video package after that on Darby. He's at his house training by skateboarding. He's like, yeah, man, my wrestling style is reckless, so I don't like train to wrestle. Like I ride an ATV and skateboard to wrestle and take risks. That's my
bullshit.
style. Risky, you know.
This man is a great technical wrestler tomorrow. I just, I've got a future persona. I don't really be thinking about wrestling. I just do shit. Like, come on, man.
Nike's on. I just do it, brother. Like, Darby Allin, how do you do the coffin drop? I just go up there and do it, brother. That's it.
Oh my god.
He said to be in the champion of AEW means he can give back to wrestling what's given to him. He was there with his dad, showing the half pipes and all that. They played a Sting insert saying, Darby got into wrestling a similar reason that he did. He said, Darby said he's going to become the champion. Julia Hart and Anna Jay have a no-holds-barred match.
Huh?
Julia Hart and Anna Jay in a no-holds-barred match. They've been having a feud on Rampage the past couple months. They actually had a match.
I knew the match was announced. I didn't know it was no-holds-barred.
Yeah, because they're up in the ante.
This is Detroit?
Well, they've been feuding for quite a while. They've been doing some attacks and stuff like that, and they want to run it. And the no holds barred is probably the best option for these two at this stage of the game.
So heel versus heel.
I don't think it's quite like that. I think Julia Hart is like a pseudo.
Julia Hart gets cheered, but she's on a faction. But she's with a faction of heels. And she helps them cheat in matches.
Walk with me, yes.
Okay.
But when this wasn't good. This wasn't absolutely terrible.
No. Let it sit there. This wasn't good.
This wasn't good. Okay, we're gonna start it right there. This wasn't good. I think that the last match they had was actually bad. This one, they just did some shit with they hit each other with shit, and there wasn't like really much going on here. So, Julia Hart ended up getting the win. Whatever. Not really much more to say on this one, but
nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, Anna Jay's usually better in the street fight environment.
That one time she was.
No, multiple times.
Multiple times. Okay.
Yeah. So, Julia's got the entrance there everybody likes, and she mouths the words to her song along with it at the same time as it plays, and it's like.
This what's it called? Scarlett.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I don't know.
She can lip sync her words. I mean, so could Shawn Michaels too. Who gives a shit? That's supposed to mean something.
I think that's these are the things that are getting them over right now. But after that, Renee was backstage with Best Friends and Bandito, and the injured Orange Cassidy said.
Hold on. Do you think that Trish Stratus could have wrapped Lil' Kim down to the ring? Would that have made her a bigger star? Would we have given more of a shit?
She could not have wrapped that.
You dumb.
No way.
Like if Miz comes down to the ring, he's like, I came to play. Like, who gives a fuck? Why does this matter? Am I missing something here?
It's just a thing.
Okay.
So Orange Cassidy was back there and said, there's room for 3 more titles in his backpack. He's basically saying go win the trios belt. So they were the best amigos with Bandito. And, they asked what was their house rules match, which caught the Best Friends off guard, caught me off guard because they've gone over the house rules stuff before. I don't pay attention anytime they do it. There's like some no DQ. There's like a 20 count thing. I don't know. So Trent basically said no spooky witches ringside, which basically refers to Julia. She was there, in the previous match. So Best Friends Bandito walked out. Orange Cassidy said he's exhausted. And Renee agreed she was as well, because she was all over the place throughout the night, running around like Meanie Jean Okerlund. But after that, we got the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews taking on the Best Amigos, obviously best friends of Bandito, and they had open house match, and apparently in the rules written for the House of Black trios match, they have to turn all the lights in the building off, and like it's a spotlight on the ring essentially, but like everything's black around it, so it's like I immediately see this shit and I'm like, turn these goddamn lights on, and I'm just like, I'm completely taken out of match from there. I'm like, what is this WWE derivative, like Fiend derivative shit that's going on here? Like the funny lighting in the matches, like I don't want to see it. I didn't like the red lights. I didn't like the Sin Cara lights. I don't like this shit. I was completely taken out of the match on this. And I have no review for you. I'm sorry, but I couldn't get past it. The House of Black won, and we're on to Minneapolis. You know, it's too much.
Cage match?
I would have to take a look at that. Someone in the comments, please find us the cage match rating on this. So, like, and here's the problem with it. It's not just that I don't like it, right? The problem is from a performance standpoint. And I learned this by watching the Ray Charles movie. When you turn the lights off on the crowd, it encourages them to shut up. It's like just a human subconscious thing. Oh, we're supposed to be watching the performance. Like, but in wrestling, you want the crowd to react. So, like, it kind of is like hustling backwards in me to turn the lights off. And then it's like just this, these guys in the ring. Like, you might hear the murmur in the background, but it's like, no, man, like, I not feeling it. They should if they're going to do the house rules thing, they can try something else, I think. But man, I seem to recall 6.54 is the rating. So I seem to recall, when the Elite had these trios belts, everybody was wanting to get them to the House of Black to do something with them. And, I was hearing the detractors say they were just tired of the, they just got to get them off the Elite. It's been enough time, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, Elite was giving us the best of 7. Elite was giving us the shit versus Top Flight. What? Like, so, yeah, not feeling it thus far. After that, though, main event time. Oh, excuse me, the Jack Perry one. Said he's living out his dreams that he had as a kid. Christian Cage popped in, said if he can get his head out of his own ass, he can win the AEW title. There was a reason that he aligned himself with that pillar of AEW. Jungle Boy said MJF wrestles 4 times a year, while Jack is devoted to become the best wrestler in the world by putting in time in the ring. He said basically Double or Nothing is going to be spectacular. And, in my opinion, this was like probably some of the best like pillar stuff they've done. Like, I thought they completely ran into the ground that 1 week, but then everything that's recovered since then, I think it's been solid enough. It's not to the standard of what I will want for, your traditional AEW championship storyline. But I think anybody that's saying this is the worst storyline for the AEW title, I would encourage you to go rewatch that Jon Moxley MJF stuff from 2020 when MJF was like pretending like he was Trump. Like, I would encourage you to watch that. And he was wrestling the lawyer in the ring and shit. Like, I would encourage you to check that out. And look, the last Moxley MJF buildup wasn't all that hot either. So, like, let's not, get sudden amnesia here. But, like, I think this match ultimately is going to be spectacular. But, not everybody has liked this. They've, the warts on each guy have come out a little bit, but I think these are things that, these guys got to go through. Like, Jungle Boy's 25, MJF's 27. Like, they're going to go through things not going exactly well in your program or whatever. But the good thing is they will ring the bell for you and you have a chance to essentially like mulligan most of this shit. So,
Yeah, I mean, I expect the match to be fantastic, but, it just feels it feels that by them doing this and setting it for the pay-per-view that like they have exposed that like this pillar shit is not worthy of being the main event of a show. To me, from the stuff you have described over the last month, I'm into the match because I want to see the match. But as far as like the intrigue of who do I think leaves with the belt is like, it better be fucking MJF. So yeah, that's kind of where I am on it. But to be fair, I have not watched the shit. I've only been hearing people's accounts for this stuff. So, take from that, that limited view or perspective on it.
So the main event, cage match from Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, steel cage match. I think this is their best match.
Really?
Yes. This was like, like, all right. I really like that first one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that one is their best match, like from a wrestling standpoint, right?
I mean, if not for the fucking dud, I think that the barbed wire match is their best match.
Yeah. So like I'm interested to see what you think when you see it, like,
okay.
And kind of put yourself in the mind frame of like not knowing what the fuck was about to happen, because I think that was a real big key, because the reason I like this, I was talking about it the other day. I was like, they were setting the whole thing up throughout the whole match, and like you had like kind of no idea why they were doing these things or whatever. There's a portion in the match where Moxley rips off the fucking turnbuckles pads and rips off the hooks of the shit, and then fish hooks Kenny with the joint in his mouth, and he takes it or whatever.
The turnbuckle,
right?
Okay.
Yes, like the fucking hook that's on the turnbuckle, and then they leave it alone or whatever. And then there's just this kind of natural point where Moxley is almost on the apron or whatever, and then Kenny charges him with a V trigger, and then the cage breaks down or whatever, like, and it's like, but Kenny lands like on his dick on the freaking like the part of the cell, and it was like, all right, is he gonna like tear his entire groin or his knee or something? And it's like, it's a miracle that didn't happen. It was one of the coolest kind of looking visuals, like from how it all got set up. It was like, this is fucking spectacular. And it didn't cross my mind they were doing this even to open the cage until like after or whatever. But and I'm like, that's like, it's almost like remember when Shawn Michaels, like the whole deal with the cameraman and that Hell in a Cell, it was like, all right, why did they do that? Oh, it was to open the cage, kind of. But like, it wasn't done in like this cheap way. They did lots of violent shit in here. They brought back the broken glass and a callback to their first match. Of course, these guys are fucking psychos. They started this match with basically this whole thing started with Bryan Danielson was on commentary. Castagnoli and Wheeler attacked Kenny ringside, but the Bucks ran out. They fought them off. This ended with like Nick Jackson doing like a sprint dive on the Will Yuta and Claudio, and then like Omega and Moxley got in the cage. They started with the slugfest. They like there was like you can't escape stuff. They were pulling out barbed wire wrapped steel chairs, throwing it on each other, jumping on the steel chairs like on Moxley. And then Omega was jumping on it. Kenny had the Jon Moxley was whole back just fucking bleeding. Kenny's back ends up bleeding at a certain point. And basically, it was just like more violence, throwing each other into the cage, hitting each other back, Moxley hitting them back with the barbed wire chair shots to the back. Danielson smiling and doing the sickos meme the whole time. And then, the Kotaro Crusher body slam on the chair. Moxley, pretty much answered him, superplex him on the chairs the correct way. As I mentioned, he unscrewed that turnbuckle, used the wrench on his mouth, and kind of pulled it. The whole thing was great. And this was like, they were chanting "you sick fuck" at Moxley and all that stuff. As I mentioned, he grabbed like the bag, broken glass, because of course these guys they love it. Kenny gave him a net breaker, tried the one wing angel, but then it was a rear naked choke. The spot was the rear naked choke, but Kenny picks him up, kind of falls back. Moxley lands on the glass. And it was just like, like Kenny like rolled through the pile driver attempt, gave him the knee. For the whole crowd's going fucking crazy. They get to their feet. Huge striking battle. These dudes really slapping each other in the face and shit. And I think Kenny kind of caught him tough at one of them for real. Then they do that whole V-trigger thing where they go through the cage, essentially, and that shit is like, it was just like, I can't believe he didn't get injured. I was in awe at the spot, and then it was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And then, Moxley recovered first. He got back in and grabbed a screwdriver at the ringside, and he was going after Kenny with it. But all of a sudden, Don Callis gets in the cage, grabs it out of his hand, essentially. Kenny retakes control, ends up getting him in position for the One Wing Angel, gives him the One Wing Angel, 1, 2, and then Don Callis comes out the corner like a fucking scoundrel, stabs Kenny Omega in the head, turns on him to the shock of the audience. That crowd, it just went silent. Like, it was like, I can't believe this happened. And, with a big like gasp, essentially. And it was like, holy shit. Everybody's like kind of looking at Don like, what the fuck are you doing? There's no real embrace at all between Callis and Moxley or anything. But from there, Moxley rolls on top of him, pins him 1, 2, 3, and he leaves. And then Callis, we thought he was gonna hit him again with a screwdriver, but he didn't. He whispers something to him, kisses him on his cheek, throws him down. Callis walks off. Super angle at the end, red hot, crowd insane, great match. Of course, a little finish with the angle there and all that, but I would take this. I'll take this 10 out of 10. Like I'll take this like 10 days out the week. I'm going 4 3/4 on this. And I thought this was a super angle at the end of the show, and Don's gonna speak next week. And he's turned on Kenny finally. It finally happened. And well, that clears the door to do
what?
Look, you want to be pushed as a top babyface world champion, you can't have Don Callis next to you.
Oh yeah. So, I've wanted this for years now. I've wanted Don Callis away from Kenny Omega. I wanted him to screw him so they can pull the trigger so they can do the babyface thing. I wanted that for years. So I'm happy that happened. I hate
to see family go out like this.
Say again?
I hate to see family go out like this.
Yeah, if you say so. But yeah, man, like I'm just waiting. I've been waiting for years for like the I said this to you, I think off air. Was this even 2 months ago? When I was like, look, man, do you remember like the Grand Slam like running V trigger that Omega gave Danielson? I told you, like, I think less than 2 months ago, like, bro, I wanted Kenny Omega to hit Callis one of them shits for years, and now I have my opportunity. When he blasts this nigga with that knee, I am going to go into another realm of existence for the happiness that I'm going to that's going to wash over me. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, man, like the Callis stuff was so overbearing, and it made me not dislike, but like it made me not enjoy Kenny Omega as much because the shit was so annoying. And like now it's gone, and we're on to better days, much better days.
I love the Callis and Kenny pairing, and I think like all good things, you gotta let it run its course after a while. And if there's a certain way you want to go with Kenny and what makes sense, this is always like, I called it years ago. I was like, they're gonna use, like, they put Callis there with them, and they're gonna springboard him off of Callis, and it's gonna be big. And
so do you think Callis goes with Ospreay, or do you think he goes with MJF?
I don't think he goes with MJF. But as far as like, I think one person to not forgetting all this is Takeshita. The person that he's been recruiting has been Takeshita. Takeshita also got his head busted by the BCC. Does Don and Takeshita, like, was he really recruiting him for the BCC? Who knows? Are they going there? This whole thing, you know, seems like there's an Ibushi setup waiting to happen, you know, to come in to even the sides. Of course, Hangman's due to come back at some point, but this whole thing with Don, I think this leads to Kenny versus Takeshita at some point, and that's going to be
off the charts,
sensational. And it's you know, I fully expect the promo to be like, yeah, you know, you're not who you say you are no more. I see the weakness in you, and you know, like a good carny scoundrel, I done found some new hotness, essentially. Don and Jay White would be cursed. Yuck. But I think you know, this whole thing's gonna be great, and I'm looking forward to taking a ride, and can't wait to see where it goes. But yeah, like as far as like there was something else that I wanted to mention, but
Reynolds still blackmailing Matt Jackson.
I think that's happening on BT, and it's pretty funny. But Kenny ended up giving an interview that was after the show that was basically saying, you know, I can't trust my friends, I can't trust my family, and it was like some people were kind of like decoding that to be like he knows, right? Like that he knows, like the Bucks, like some people were saying, like, yeah, he knows. So we'll see where it goes, but pretty excited. Should know.
These BTE gives you like the impression, like a more fleshed out impression. These are 3-dimensional characters that are real people. He's gone from airport to airport, stop to stop, met people all across the world, and no one has asked him, talked to him about the part where Matt gave the blessing for him to go out there and get his head lariated off. Like,
no, we're all good fans. We wouldn't say no shit like that to him.
No, but we're not. But that's why it's like so unreasonable that it's like, oh, he his whole entire time over now like 2 fucking years he hasn't you know, seen what happened. It's like, and also he said he was going to review it eventually anyway. It's like, oh, it's not, why will you now get around to it? What the fuck?
Fans, the elite fans don't snitch. You know, they don't benefit us. Like Tony Khan says, you know, what do we bet? What do we gain from that? You know, but yeah, like this is all set up.
I would say, what do you gain from that? Like, I don't know, maybe people resolving their conflicts like adults. But then again, you know, Hangman, instead of saying I want to leave the group, he said, "Hey, let me screw these dudes out of a title shot." So I forgot they don't handle these things like adults. Yeah, so never mind, my bad.
But as far as like where it's going at the pay-per-view, I don't know. I don't know if it's a group combat match. I feel like it's Kenny versus Takeshita at the pay-per-view, personally. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of parts here. Good news, Matt Jackson is cleared, so he's got some kind of good blessing from, you know, the healing, you know, whatever the fuck he's done to get, you know, himself back right. It could be anarchy in the arena, as Build Mafia is saying. But Don Callis got to feel it. He's got to feel one of the greatest V-triggers of all time. I will say this though. I remember what I was gonna say. The Don Callis turn on Kenny, light years ahead of the Gato turn on Okada. My God, do you remember that chair shot that Gato gave Okada?
So where do you rank it? So you put it? Do you put it? Okay, you put it above that, but do you put it above Money in the Bank when Heyman screwed over Punk? Because that was incredible.
I loved you, and he fucking threw.
And then he bust that man head with that ladder on accident too. So he got juice with it.
You know, well, he got the juice here too. So like, I would say it's on par with that.
No, that's an all timer then.
Yeah, like it's just like I think everyone was so shocked. This is like one of the most shocking things, like I think in a promotion's history.
It ain't shocking to me because think about it. How did their last match, or sorry, not the last match, but like their second match in AEW?
Yeah,
or you know, I used to say that like outside of the first match, every match has had fucking fuck finishes. Or not fuck finishes, but like interference and all of them. So it's like, oh, okay, they're doing another one of those. Okay.
Yep.
But, I'm happy because, look, get him away.
So I don't know where Don goes from here, but
hell,
he's got a great interview coming, I imagine, on Wednesday. So I'll be there ready to hate because Don has made an enemy of me now.
One thing I will say is, though, like when they do the interview, I'm pretty sure when Kenny Omega's music hits and he shows up, there will not be Mac Jackson talking about how Don Callis helped his relationship with his father, so please don't murder him. So yeah.
Yeah. It was not great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is Callis going to the E?
You stupid. Highly unlikely.
It's time for me to go. I had that sit down talk with Tony, and I told him, like, I got family over there, and that's where I would tend to go. Okay. Good riddance. Kira rocks, Callis.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but he got to feel it. He done made an enemy of me now, and it's fuck down Callis for life now. So
welcome to the members. I've been here for years.
You stupid. No, Don not only turned on Kenny, he turned on all of us. So
I'm just
Don Callis, you got to feel it.
I'm just glad that you finally see it through my eyes for all these years. I mean, I've been saying, hey man, I'm sick of this shit. I can't wait for this to happen, and I can't wait for this man to get his jaw jacked with a knee. I can't wait.
He done betrayed my dog. It
was just a matter of time.
This is sad, man. This is bad, man. This is bad. I didn't want to see this, but now that we're here, it's time to ride on our enemies, and our enemies is Don Callis. But that's all I have for AEW.
Yeah, man. I think that's it of the show.
Sounds good to me, man.
Yeah, man. So hold on. All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. I see that Rich does not have links to our PayPal or our Cash App on here, so I'm going to suggest that you go to our show notes and links into our show notes descriptions in the podcast, and go to our website there and donate there, and listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keeping It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clyde Wrestling Show.
Happy birthday to Josh too.
Sorry?
Said happy birthday to Josh too.
Yeah, happy birthday to Josh. Yes. He gave me hell because I didn't show up to his thing. Gave me hell. He's like, look, man, I gotta sleep at some point. It happens. Play as fuck up. Yeah, I slept through the alarm. Like I said, I went to sleep at 5. I didn't sleep at all for all of Friday night. I had to be up for someone's baptism in the morning, and I was like, this Lakers game's running long. I got to get up for a 7:30 workout thing. Should I sleep for like 2-3 hours or just thug it out? And I was like, look, man, I sleep when I'm supposed to get 8 hours sleep and I get 3 hours sleep. I'm dragging ass the whole day. Just thug it out. Thugged it out. Did the stuff I need to do in the morning. And
James, question from the chat: is the Himeka show up yet?
It got put up. Now, I don't know if it's in entirety, but like the gauntlet got put up today or the morning at least. We'll cover that. Like, I think right now they're only like maybe just over half of the Golden Week stuff up so far. So it's like there's no point in covering because like I can just get it all done next week when they actually have all the shit up. So we'll cover it then, and then we'll also by that point in time, because what's the date?
16,
yeah, we'll cover all the Golden Week stuff over the last from a couple weeks ago, and then we'll basically preview the pay-per-view Flash and Champions. So we'll do that. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Like, had an alarm, went to sleep at 5 p.m. and set my alarm for 6:30 to get up for Josh shit. Your boy slept right through that motherfucker and didn't wake up until like 8 or something like that. Yeah, so my bad, Josh. Sorry, man. He said he and I was like, all right, that's fine. I set up the match. He did.
Right.
I never got back a date or a time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, let's get it going, man.
Yeah. Josh ducking these chops. But anyway, yeah. So, the other shows besides One Nation Radio and Keep It Strong Style, you have Rick and Clyde Wrestling Show, Gorman Watches Shit, 8-Bit Suplex, The Grave Consequences, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Meet the Press Slam, and Get in the Ring. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.